Broke college kid discovers secret trust fund, confronts parents in epic Thanksgiving showdown, turns tables with legal action, and grandpa's $10,000 check. Me name's Noah. I'm 21, and until last Thanksgiving, I figured I'd just drawn the short straw in life. You know, the kind: student loans stacked like a Jenga tower, a part-time gig at the campus caf, sneakers patched up with duct tape, and instant noodles as a dietary staple. I wasn't angry. Not really. I assumed life was just tough and my parents had done the best they could. I never expected handouts, but that night changed everything I believed about my family with just one sentence from my grandfather. Thanksgiving has always been a bit of a spectacle on my mom's side, loud, emotional, and always in someone's business. But this year, my dad's side hosted, which usually meant a quieter, more composed affair. Grandpa handled the turkey carving with his usual precision, while Grandma passed her signature cornbread, pretending not to notice my cousin's sneaking extra slices. It was the usual. I'd come home from college for the weekend, already stressed about upcoming midterms. I sat next to my younger cousin Mason, who was more invested in his mashed potatoes than any conversation. Across from me, my parents chatted with my uncle and aunt like everything was fine, as if they hadn't ignored most of my texts that semester. We were midway through dinner when Grandpa raised his glass for a toast, something he only did when he was feeling particularly reflective. To family, he said, his voice a bit shaky but full of warmth, and to watching our kids become people we can be proud of. There were murmurs of agreement, clinking glasses. Then he looked straight at me. And Noah, it's great to see you making good use of the college fund. Everything froze, forks in midair. My heart skipped and then raced. Did I hear that right? I looked around. My dad coughed into his napkin. My mom's face drained of color. My aunt glanced sharply at them. Even Mason paused mid-chew. Grandpa's brow furrowed. The college fund we set up when you were born. You didn't know? The silence was heavy. Then Mason, sweet and oblivious, turned to me and whispered, "Wait, you didn't know?" I couldn't say anything. I felt winded, like I'd been hit in the stomach. Slowly, I turned to my parents, but neither looked at me. My mom picked at her peas. My dad sipped his wine. "Noah," Grandpa said again, confused. "Hasn't the fund been covering your tuition? We added to it every birthday, every holiday, even when times were tough." I swallowed hard. "No one ever told me about a fund," I said, my voice lower than I expected. Grandma's mouth opened like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Aunt Julie leaned in, eyebrows lifted. "Then who's been managing it?" That's when things unraveled. My dad cleared his throat. We didn't think he needed to know," he said, staring at his plate. "You didn't think I needed to know I had a college fund?" My voice cracked on the word had. "We used it." My mom jumped in, her tone tight. "On the house. Bills. Emergencies. We thought it was the right thing to do." Grandpa's confusion turned cold. "What do you mean you used it?" My dad glared at him, then turned back to me. "Noah, we were struggling. The recession hit. The roof was leaking. Your brother needed braces." "My brother?" I snapped. "The one who didn't even go to college." "It was for the family," my mom said, her voice rising. "You wouldn't understand. You were a kid. You don't remember how bad things got." I stood up. My chair scraped the floor. All eyes turned to me. "You could have told me. Instead, you let me rack up loans, work 20 hours a week. I thought we were broke. I thought I was doing the right thing, working hard, not asking for help. Meanwhile, you were spending my college fund." "It wasn't like that," my dad mumbled. "You're making this into a scene." I let out a short, bitter laugh. "Oh, I'm making a scene? You hid this from me for years, and I'm the problem?" Grandpa turned to them, voice calm but stern. "That money wasn't meant for you. It was for Noah. We made that clear." My mom opened her mouth to protest but stopped at the look on Grandpa's face. "We trusted you," he said. "We believed you'd do right by your son." Silence. Everyone looked anywhere but at me. Even Mason had his head down. My aunt looked uneasy. My uncle leaned back, lips tight. I sat again, not because I wanted to, but because my legs were unsteady. "How much was in it?" I asked Grandpa. He hesitated. "By the time you turned 18? Around $40,000. Probably more. We kept contributing. 40,000. Enough to clear all my loans, cover books, rent, maybe even let me breathe for once." I looked at my parents. My mom seemed on the verge of tears. I didn't care. My dad looked defensive, not remorseful. "We did what we had to do," he muttered. No, I said. You did what was easiest for you. Grandma finally spoke, her voice almost a whisper. We all need to talk about this. But I wasn't listening. My hands moved on their own. Not to lash out, not to post, but to open a file I'd kept hidden for months. It was a document I'd put together, every cent I'd scraped together, every scholarship I'd earned, every bonus from my summer internship. My dad caught a glimpse of the screen. He knew what it meant, but I wasn't ready to say it out loud, not yet. Because this was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. After dinner ended in quiet chaos, Grandma tried to smooth it over with dessert, but the fractures were deep. I packed up and left early, driving back to my apartment. Left a note for Grandpa thanking him for dinner, and for the truth, even if it was accidental. The silence during the drive was louder than anything anyone said that night. I kept replaying Mason's question. You didn't know? It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about trust. My childhood, revised and repackaged by two people who treated me less like a son, more like a fallback plan. That file I pulled up, it held everything I'd earned since turning 18. Scholarships, stipends, wages, freelance gigs. I'd been proud of it once. I remembered sitting in my cramped apartment at a.m., choosing between groceries and new shoes. I picked ramen, duct taped my soles. My parents apparently chose braces and home repairs. What they didn't know, I wasn't just an intern anymore. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, the startup had offered me a full-time job after graduation, high salary, signing bonus, stock options. They said they saw me as future leadership. I'd been saving that news for when I got home, hoping they'd be proud. Now, I wasn't sure I even wanted them to know. The days that followed were quiet. My phone didn't ring, no calls, no texts, except one from Grandma. Thinking of you, love you. I stared at it, typed thanks, I'm okay, then deleted it. Didn't send anything, but the messages started. Mom, Noah, we should talk. Can we meet before you go back? Dad, you're being immature. It's more complicated than you think. Call me, Uncle Dan. Hey, just want you to know I had no idea about the fund. That's messed up. I'm here if you want to talk. I didn't answer, not yet. Instead, I did something that made my hands shake. I called the bank listed on the trust Grandpa had mentioned. With some help from Grandma and a few emails, I got a confused advisor on the line. He couldn't believe the beneficiary didn't know the fund existed, but the records were there. Withdrawals spanning 7 years. Everyone authorized by my parents. They hadn't even tried to hide it. When I asked if anything could be done, the advisor said, you might want to speak with a lawyer. If it was set aside strictly for education, this could be considered misappropriation. So I did. I brought everything to the campus legal aid office, fund paperwork, bank records, my own financial files, even Grandpa's old emails where he mentioned saving for your future. The rep looked over it all and said, Noah, this could be felony level fraud. I didn't want to believe it. Still don't. These were my parents. They read me bedtime stories, taught me how to ride a bike, bought me Legos after surgery, and now, I might have to take them to court. That weekend, I went quiet. No posts, no responses. I needed space. Sunday night, there was a knock on my door. My dad stood there. He looked exhausted. Can I come in? I said nothing. I just want to talk, he said, then added, fine, I'll talk. You listen. He stayed in the hallway, hands in pockets. We didn't mean for this to go so far. We thought we'd pay it back. You were young, we figured you wouldn't notice. But then things got away from us. I stared. You could have told me. I know, he said. But your mom worried you'd resent us. She wanted to wait until we could rebuild it. You had 18 years, I said. He flinched. Then he said something that changed everything. We didn't just use it on ourselves. We used it for your brother too. His school, his surgery. He's had a harder time. He always needed more. You've always managed. We thought you could handle it. The anger bubbled up again. So because I was the easy kid, the one who never asked for much, I ended up with less. He didn't say a word, just looked down at his shoes. Then I asked, if Grandpa hadn't spoken up, would you have kept lying? Let me drown in debt? He looked up, and for a moment, I saw something in his eyes. Regret. Real, painful regret. That look was the most honest thing he'd shown me in years. I gave a slow nod, stepped back, and shut the door. No yelling, no scenes, just silence. But something changed inside me that night. I realized I couldn't just move on. They made a choice and now, it was my turn. I didn't sleep either. After I closed the door, I leaned against it, listening to his footsteps fade down the hall. I thought I might feel relieved, like a weight had lifted, but I didn't. My stomach twisted not with doubt, but with grief. The kind of grief that creeps in when you finally see your parents not as protectors, but as people flawed, selfish people who chose themselves over you. The next morning, I got a text from my mom, just for words. We're so sorry. I didn't respond. I went to class, went through the motions pretending to take notes, pretending to listen. But my mind was stuck on a loop, my dad saying, "You've always managed," like being independent was a punishment. Like doing okay meant I didn't deserve help. That night, I opened my laptop and started working on something. Not an email, not a letter, a formal legal request. The campus legal advisor had already explained the steps. If the trust was created in my name for education, and they used the money for other things, they could be liable. The advisor had mentioned restitution. I hadn't asked what the consequences might be. I wasn't ready for that, but I was ready to begin. So I did. I filed the request properly, copied the bank's trust department and my advisor. I didn't even tell Grandpa. I wasn't sure how he'd react. He still believed in family. I wasn't sure I did. 2 days later, I got a call from a blocked number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something told me to answer. It was my mom. "Noah," she said, her voice shaky like she'd been crying. "Please don't do this. We'll pay it back. We'll find a way. You don't have to destroy everything." Her voice cracked on the word destroy. I was silent for a few seconds. Then I asked, "How much did you take?" She hesitated. We didn't keep track. It happened over time. The bank did," I replied flatly. More silence. "We didn't think it would matter this much. You had scholarships. You're doing fine." That word again, fine. I wanted to yell, but I didn't. I stayed composed. "I've been living off canned soup for years, Mom. I've walked in the rain because I couldn't afford a bus pass. You left me to figure things out alone and now you want me to be grateful that I managed?" She whispered. "We were trying to help the family." "No," I said. "You were trying to survive. And you chose who mattered more." I hung up. My hands were shaking. I hadn't noticed until I saw the blinking cursor on my screen. That week, word got around. I'm not sure how. Maybe my aunt, maybe Mason overheard something. Then on Sunday, Grandpa called. "Noah," he said, calm but serious. "Can we meet?" "Just us." I agreed. We met at a quiet diner near campus. He was already there, stirring his coffee like he was looking for answers. He didn't smile. "I'm sorry," he said. "You didn't do anything," I replied. "No," he said. "But I trusted people who did. I should have checked. I should have made sure." I sat down. "I looked into the trust," he continued. "It's gone. Every cent. I've spoken to the bank. They're cooperating. If you want to press charges, you have every right." I said nothing. "There's more," he added. "When your dad asked me to list the trust in his and your mom's name, he said it was for convenience, that it'd be easier to manage that way." I believed him. He looked up. His eyes held something I hadn't seen in years. Shame. I should have known better. We sat in silence. "They kept this hidden for over 10 years, I said. "And the only reason I found out is because you made an offhand comment." He nodded. Then he pulled out an envelope from his coat and placed it on the table. "I can't undo what they did, but this is yours." I stared at it, not touching it. "It's not enough to fix everything," he said, "but it's a start. And I'm changing my will. What I leave behind will go into a separate trust. Only for you. No one else will touch it, not again." I looked at him, really looked at him. I believed him, and that's what hurt the most. That he believed in me, and they didn't. That night, I opened the envelope. A cashier's check for $10,000. I should have felt relief, but I felt anger, because that $10,000 meant someone thought I was worth it. And my own parents never did. The next day, I filed an official complaint with the Family Trust legal office. Then I started planning something I never thought I'd do. Winter break was coming, and we always hosted Christmas. It came quickly. For the first time, I dreaded going home. Not in the usual Aunt Denise's casserole way, but in a deeper, heavier sense. Like walking into enemy territory. I packed light, just one overnight bag. No gifts, no cards, nothing cheerful. I wasn't in the mood for pretending. I told Grandpa I'd be coming. He didn't try to talk me out of it, just said, "You sure you're ready?" I was. Not because I'd forgiven them, but because some things needed to be said in person. The air was cold when I pulled into the driveway. Snow hugged the lawn. The house looked the same, warm, festive, like nothing had changed. But I had. Inside, cinnamon and roast filled the air. Soft music played. My mom laughed loudly in the kitchen. My dad sat chatting with my uncle, drink in hand. They froze when they saw me. My mom stiffened. My dad stayed seated. I didn't bother with small talk. I nodded, took off my coat, and went to the dining room. Grandpa was already there. He gave a quiet nod. Grandma wouldn't meet my eyes. My brother sat on his phone, didn't even look up. Dinner was tense. Everyone tiptoed around the truth. Conversation stayed shallow weather. Traffic, work. No mention of the trust. No one talked about the legal complaint. They probably thought I wouldn't follow through, that I'd calm down, be the good kid again. But I wasn't there to play that role. After dessert, my dad stood to give his usual Christmas toast, something about family, love, resilience. Then he said it. "We're so proud of how far our kids have come. Even through tough times, we've always stuck together." That was the spark. I stood up. "You've always stuck together," I repeated. "Except when it came to telling the truth. Except when it came to me." Silence. I pulled a folder from my bag, neatly labeled, printed, organized. I placed it on the table. That's a complete breakdown of the trust withdrawals. Every date, every amount cross-referenced with my student loans. For anyone still thinking I'm overreacting. My mom's face collapsed. My dad's jaw tightened. I turned to Grandpa. "You asked if I was ready." I nodded. "I am." Then to the rest of them. "I worked 3 jobs. Skipped meals. Missed out on college experiences. I thought we were broke." I blamed myself, all while my parents were using the fund meant for my future. My brother looked up. "It wasn't all for them," he said. "Some of it was for me." "Yeah," I said, locking eyes. Braces, tutors, new laptop every year, while I taped mine together. Grandma finally spoke. "We didn't know, Noah. We're sorry." "I believe you," I said. "But this isn't just about money. It's about trust, and respect, and choices." I looked at my parents. "You could have told me the truth, even after it was gone, but you let me struggle alone, while pretending we were all struggling together. We thought we were doing what was best." My mom said. "For who?" I asked. "Me or the version of me that didn't ask questions?" They had no answer. I took a deep breath. I filed a formal complaint. Legal action is in progress. This isn't about revenge. It's about accountability. I'm done carrying this alone. My dad stood slowly. "You're suing us? Your own parents?" "No," I said. "I'm holding you responsible." He scoffed. "You'd tear this family apart over some money?" "No," I replied. "You did that when you decided I didn't matter." I picked up the folder and walked to the living room. Everyone stayed frozen. I left an envelope on the mantle, my only Christmas gift. "I won't be staying tonight. I don't know when or if I'll be back." That envelope contains legal copies and a letter, so no one can claim they didn't. "No." My mom wept. My dad stared at the wall. Grandpa came over. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. "You have more family than you think." I nodded. "I know, thank you." He hugged me, the only one who did. Then I walked out into the cold, snowy night. No one followed. A week later, I got confirmation from the bank. The investigation had begun. If misappropriation was confirmed, my parents could be forced to repay or face legal consequences. I didn't celebrate. It didn't feel like a victory, just something that needed to happen. But I did pay off part of my student debt with Grandpa's check. The rest, I moved into a new account under my name only. I graduated that spring with honors, got my first paycheck from a startup 2 months later, moved into my own apartment, bought new shoes, no duct tape this time. As for my parents, we haven't spoken since. But sometimes, I think about that night when Grandpa said, "Glad you're enjoying the college fund," how everything unraveled from there. And I realize it wasn't the money that hurt the most. It was the betrayal. The moment I saw that the people who should have protected me didn't. But I'm still standing. And I finally understand my worth, not because of a trust fund, but because I stopped trusting the wrong people and started trusting myself.